There you go.
My name is Melissa, and our policy is the U.S. should implement strict federal gun law control. A definition I have for you guys is mass shooting, which means an incident involving multiple victims of firearms-related violence. Another one is shall issue. Jurisdiction is one that requires a license to carry or concealed handgun, but where the granting of such licenses is subject only to meeting determined criteria laid out in the law. And another last definition is may issue. Is the executing one must pass before being issued a permit to carry. My significant claim is to reduce the amount of violence and mass shootings. I'm gonna cover suicide rates, injury rates, and domestic assaults. The first one I have is covering suicide rates, which from an article, OpenCarry, 15 states require some form of license or permit in order to openly carry a handgun. Meaning that the other states, you don't need a permit to carry a handgun. And then, which includes rifles and shotguns. In an article about 8 facts about gun control in the U.S., it talks about that only a dozen of the U.S. 50 states, that out of those 15 states that require a permit of some sort, only 3 of them require permits for rifles and shotguns. And the age requirements to carry a rifle and shotgun is 18 and older, and to carry a handgun it's 21 and older. In the same article about 8 facts about gun control, it talks about how fugitives, involuntary or mental patients with felonies with 1 year or more in prison and misdemeanors with 2 years or more are the only people restricted from owning firearms. Which means that if you're a felon and are in prison for like less than 1 year, you're still eligible to get a permit to hold a handgun or a weapon. And for misdemeanors, which include being caught with drugs or like domestic violence, it's 2 years or more, and if you take a sentence of 2 years, that you're still eligible to hold a handgun. Still eligible to require a permit and everything. In an American Crisis, 18 facts about gun violence and 6 promising ways to reduce the suffering, they talk about how only 13 states have closed the loophole that allows abusive dating partners to possess guns, which is called the boyfriend loophole. Which meaning that even if you don't live with them, but you're with them, there's still, the federal law is that all domestic violence partners with a misdemeanor, which can include parent, guardian, spouse, child, co-parent, or current or former romantic partner who has lived with you, that's what a domestic violence partner is. But only 13 of the states has covered the boyfriend loophole, where that like if you're with them and there's still a misdemeanor, they're not allowed to carry a weapon. So only 13 states have covered the loophole. And in an article, OpenCarry, it talks about how federal law does not restrict the open carrying of firearms in public, although specific rules may apply to property owned or operated by the federal government. And to cover the suicide rates, it says that states with the highest gun ownership rates have the highest suicide rates, which means every 10% of gun ownership, an increase of 3% suicides raises in the U.S. And then a heresy claim is current regulations are inadequate and flawed. In an article, Gun Laws by State, it talks about how most states in the U.S. do not require registration of guns, and there is no federal program to register the guns. Meaning that anybody could, only certain states require that the person, like who it is, how many they're owning, and what type of gun. But most states don't require this, so people could own as many guns and people wouldn't know how many it is in the registry. And actually, there's a federal law against holding records like that. And then to go back to domestic assaults, it's in an article in American Crisis, 18 Facts About Gun Violence. It talks about an American woman is fatally shot by her partner every 16 hours. 760 Americans are killed annually with guns by their spouses. In the same article, it talks about how research indicates that young men who kill other young men and intimate partners who kill women frequently have criminal records that prohibit them from owning guns. So this goes back to the misdemeanors of the loophole and like how they go through the process of like if it's less than 2 years they could still own a gun, but sometimes they do have records. But you could go through the private gun show loophole where you buy from private dealers and you don't have to have a permit or anything like that. And then to go back to domestic violence, I want to talk about the Sandy Hook shooting in 2012, where Adam Lanza, he killed his mother and then of course went to the school and killed 20 students, injured many, and 6 adults were killed as well.